morning everyone. In this video 7.3 part 1, and we're going to look at the product sum method. And as I already told you, this is a pretty difficult subject, but it's still really important for next year, which means that we're going to take it slow with this. And I'm also going to take my time, so this video might become a little bit longer. Sorry if that happens. So what is the product sum method? We're going to start with something from chapter 1, which is this thing, A plus B times C plus D. It's the same as AC plus AD plus BC plus BD. Remember those little arcs which showed you what you had to do. This idea is something you'll see a lot, but this was basically chapter 1. Now we want to go back. But how do we have to do that? And do we always need 4 terms? Sometimes this can be simplified. So I'm going to show you something. If we have, for example, x plus 2 and x plus 3. And we're going to try to remove the brackets. Keep in mind, this is not the product sum method yet. Then we'll get x times x, which is x squared, x times 3 is 3x, x times 2 is 2x, 2 times 3 is 6. So 4 terms as expected, but we can simplify this a little. We can say that 3x and 2x together gives us x squared plus 5x plus 6. And maybe you already get a little bit the idea, because we're looking for a product and we're looking for a sum. So what is a product and what is a sum? And what do they have to do with these numbers? So the numbers that you'll have to work with are 2, 3, 5, and 6. So what do these two numbers to do with these two numbers? Maybe if you remember that the product was basically multiplying numbers. Well, 2 times 3 is 6. The sum was adding numbers, so 2 plus 3 is 5. So what you see is, if you try to remove the brackets, multiplying these numbers gives you the last term, and adding them gives you the second one. Let's try that. So this over here is the sum. This thing over here is the product. Hence the product sum method. But what if I'll give you, let's say, x squared plus, let's make it not too hard, plus 7x plus 12. And we want to write this with brackets. Well, then what's a sum and what is a product? The product is always a number which is on its sum. It has nothing to do with letters. So this is the product. And let's use a second color as well. This is our sum. So we're looking for 2 numbers, which if we multiply them gives us 12, and if we add them, we'll get 7. So this is basically what should be happening in your head. Some people like to start with a sum, but I always want you to start with the product. So think about, how can we find 12? Well, it's 1 times 12. That's 12. But if we add these 2 numbers, that's 13, not 7. So that's not correct. Can we find 12 in another way? Yes, of course we can. It's 2 times 6. It's also 12. But the sum is 8, which is also not 7. Is there a third way to do this? Yes. 3 times 4. This is also 12. And those 2 numbers gives us 7. So now we have 2 numbers that if we multiply them, that's 12. And 3 plus 4 is 7. So this is the combination of numbers that we're looking for. So what does that mean? Over here, you're basically always working with this form. And we want to fill in these two numbers, the 3 and the 4, over here. So 7, which is basically our, oh, sorry, mistake. Don't be stupid. 3 and 4. We can check that x times x is x squared, x times 4 is 4x, 3 times x is 3x, but 3x and 4x together gives us 7x, 3 times 4 is 12, so this is correct. Maybe you already get the idea though. I want you to try and see if you can do the following examples. And I'll give you 3 examples. Maybe that's too much, maybe not. And I'm going to give you a difficult one. No, not yet. That's too early. So pause the video, try and see if you can do these 3 for yourself. Meanwhile, I'll take a sip of coffee because I need it. So, before using the product sum method, we have to point out what's a sum and what's a product. So in this case, sum is 4 and our product is 3. Well, luckily for you, there are only a few ways in which you can get 3 with multiplying. Is 1 times 3. Then we can check that. So here's my draft. 1 times 3 is 3, and 1 plus 3 is 4. Our product and our sum. So those are the correct numbers, which means I'll start with brackets. Which 2 numbers do I fill in? 1 and 3. Next one. Our sum 7 and our product is 10. So how can I get 10? 1 times 10 is 10, but 1 plus 10 is 11 and not 7. 2 times 5 is also 10, and 2 plus 5 is 7, which means we have our product and our sum. So we'll use the numbers x plus 2 and x plus 5. Yes, Jort? Yes, we can also swap these numbers around. So we can also say x plus 2, x plus 5 and x plus 2. This is also fine. So both of these things are correct. There are usually 2 correct answers. Last one. Our sum 12 and our product is 27. So how do I get 27? 1 times 27, which is 27. 1 plus 27 is 28, so that's not correct. Can I divide 27 by 2? Yes, but then I have 3 times 13 and a half, and you don't want that. You usually want all numbers when you're doing this. There will be exceptions, but that's something later on. 3 times 9, I think that's the one. That's 27. 3 plus 9 is 12. So our product and our sum, which means we get x plus 3 and x plus 9. So what is this called? This process, we're using the product sum method to factorize. So what we're doing is we're trying to find 2 things called factors. And if we multiply these 2 factors, we'll get this expression. So we're using the product sum method to factorize our expression, so we'll get something with brackets. Why do we want these brackets? That's something we're going to look at in paragraph 4. It has to do with solving equations. Because one of the most useful things when you're trying to solve these equations is when you're multiplying two things, for example a and b, and you know that the answer is 0, then one of these two things has to be 0. That's the only way to get 0 as a result. And you'll see that this will be very important later on. Hopefully you get the idea of the product sum method a little. Keep in mind these examples are still relatively easy. And if you have questions or you still don't get it, please ask me. Good luck.